titled Retelling the First Anime to Hit America ## Intro and Hook. What if I told you the first anime to ever hit American theaters had nothing to do with giant robots, magical girls, or heroes with spiky hair? What if I told you it landed decades before the 90s anime boom, wasn't even called anime, and was released by one of the biggest movie studios on the planet? And what if I told you that, despite all that, it's been almost completely forgotten? And the question of why a film so pioneering has been almost completely lost to time. No, this isn't a lost media creep. This is a real story. In the summer of 1961, a film about a magical boy, his gang of animal friends, and an epic quest to defeat a demonic witch premiered in American theater. The Disney formula was King You Take, a classic fairy tale, pouring gorgeous art, catchy songs, and a bunch of cute animal sidekicks. Toei built a totally new story around him, one packed with magic, action, and that same Disney-esque charm. The legendary studio Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer MGM swooped in and bought the distribution right. They changed the name from Shonen Sarutobi Sasuke to the much more American-friendly title, Magic Boy. In a strange bit of marketing, MGM's ads claimed the original title was The Adventures of the Little Samurai. Why? Probably because American audiences in 1961 knew what a heroic samurai was. But the idea of a ninja was still tied up with spies and assassins, not really the vibe you want for a kid's movie. But their quiet world is shattered when a monstrous eagle, secretly controlled by a dark power, attacks a young fawn. Sasuke and his friends jump into hell, but it's no use. That vow sends him on a long journey, leaving his sister in the forest behind to find the wise old wizard Haken Zaida, very same master who sealed Yakasha away in the first place. From the bottom of a dark lake rises a giant demonic salamander, which snatches and devours one of Sasuke's animal pals. He doesn't just learn magic, he learns the art of the ninja speed, stealth, and incredible physical skills. But while he's training, Yakasha is growing stronger too. She builds an army of bandits led by the terrifying Gunkuro, and they spread fear across the land, eventually even kidnapping Sasuke's sister. They even produced it in Toesco, a beautiful widescreen format, which was a clear signal that they wanted to compete on the world stage. The pacing could feel slow compared to what they were used to. For some bizarre reason, they left many of the songs in the original Japanese, but didn't add any subtitles, leaving anyone who didn't speak Japanese completely lost. The New English theme song they added was this generic, crooning ballad with painfully simple lyrics and a stereotyped Oriental riff that sounds incredibly cringy today. The dubbing itself wasn't horrible for the time, but it all added up to a clumsy final product that felt stuck in the middle, not quite Japanese and not quite American. And the art style, while beautiful and inspired by traditional Japanese paintings, was just really different from American cartoons. The story of Magic Boy itself, with its roots in Japanese folklore about ninjas, the dynamic action, the mix of fantasy and folklore, the emotional chorus, all there, just in an early form. It's a film caught between two worlds, heavily influenced by Disney, but still so distinctly Japanese in its art and soul. They show us that anime's journey to the West wasn't some overnight explosion in the 90s, but a long, bumpy road filled with forgotten pioneers, fascinating failures, and false starts. This film was a gambling ambassador for a new kind of art that the world just wasn't ready for yet. It deserves to be remembered, not for its box office, but for its courage to be the first one through the door. It may not have been a hit, but it was a start. It was part of the slow, quiet introduction of the idea that amazing animation was being made outside of the United States. And I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. Had you ever heard of Magic Boy before this? And what other lost or forgotten anime do you think deserves its own investigation? And magic didn't have the same easy familiarity as the European fairy tales Disney was famous for. It didn't kick off an anime craze or revolutionize American animation. Unlike other MGM classics, it never got a VHS release and was basically forgotten by the very studio that brought it over. It makes you wonder how many other stories like this are out there just waiting to be read. It wasn't until 2014 that Warner Archive finally released the movie on a made-to-order DVD, making it available for a modern audience to see for the first time in over 50 years. Its main importance is historical. It was the first. It stands as a symbol of Toei Animation's bold first leap onto the world stage, and MGM's equally bold, if fumbled, attempt to introduce a new kind of animation to America. The last act of the film is a huge showdown. Sasuke, with his loyal animal friends fighting beside him, takes on Yakusha and her entire army. They didn't connect with a big audience and quickly faded away, mostly just showing up at kids' matinees or a weekend TV. It would be another 2 years before Astro Boy came to American television in 1963, finding way more success as a series that could build a loyal fan base over time. Magic Boy, a movie that came and went, just never got that chance. Why do you and Twee talk about Magic Boy the same way we talk about Astro Boy or Speed Racer as one of the pioneers of anime in America, and released almost on top of each other in the summer of 1961. Magic Boy came out on June 22nd, then Panda and the Magic Serpent on July 8th, and Alakazam the Great on July 26th. They flooded the tiny market for foreign animation. Instead of one movie getting a chance to find an audience, 3 of them were suddenly fighting for scraps. None of them ended up being a box office hit. Well, the answer seems to be a cocktail of bad timing, cultural confusion, and a really clumsy release. It's a battle of smarts, magic, and pure guts that ends in an epic final fight where Sasuke has to use every single thing he has learned to finally beat the evil witch and bring peace back to Japan. It's a story about courage, sacrifice, and friendship, a timeless tale that should have worked anywhere. The creature then reveals its true form, Yakusha, a seriously powerful and evil sorceress. As Sasuke's sister explains, Yakusha was sealed in that salamander form ages ago by a master magician. But her power has been growing, letting her break free to start a reign of terror all over again. That was the undisputed blueprint for a hit animated movie. It was technically the very first feature-length Japanese animation to get a theatrical run in the United States, a trailblazer that should have been a landmark. And yet, its name has been practically erased from pop culture history. This is the story of Magic Boy, the movie that holds the title of the first anime to reach American shores. Section 1. A tale of two worlds. To really get how Magic Boy even happened, you have to imagine the world in the late 1950s. In America, animation meant one thing. Disney, meanwhile, over in Japan, the animation industry was just finding its legs. A studio called Toei Animation was taking its first huge swings at making feature-length color films. Their first big movie, Panda and the Magic Serpent, came out in 1958, and they followed it up with their second, Shonen Naruto Sasuke, in 1959. Just like the Americans, Toei was looking at what Disney was doing, seeing the magic and adapting old folklore into these big animated spectacles. They took that Disney formula and started mixing it with the spirit of their own Japanese legends. Shonen Naruto Sasuke was based on the adventures of a famous ninja from Japanese folklore, a character who'd been popular in stories for decades. The film was a hit at home, and pretty soon it caught the attention of Hollywood. So, on June 22nd, 1961, Magic Boy premiered in American theaters, becoming the very first theatrical anime release in the country. Section 2. The Epic of Sasuke's Soul. What was this groundbreaking film actually about? The story of Magic Boy is a classic hero's journey, set deep in the forests of medieval Japan. We meet a kind kid named Sasuke, living a peaceful life with his older sister Oyu and a whole squad of animal friends. Sasuke, heartbroken and furious, tries to fight the monster, but he's completely outmatched. Haunted by his friend's death and now driven by a new purpose, Sasuke makes a vow. He is going to become a great magician, powerful enough to take down Yakusha and protect his home. Under the master's guidance, Sasuke goes through years of intense training. Finally, his training is done. Sasuke returns, but he's not just a boy anymore. He's a powerful warrior. Section 3. The Investigation. What went wrong? With a story that good, you have to ask, ... What went wrong? First off, the competition. In an unbelievable move, 3 of Toei's early animated movies were bought by different American distributors. Second, even though Toei tried hard to copy Disney, the movies just felt too foreign for most Americans back then. And then there was the dub. You have to give MGM credit for being the first major studio to release an anime, but their handling of it was awkward. In the end, Magic Boy and the other films just fizzled out. Section 4. The Forgotten Legacy. The legacy of Magic Boy is a quiet one. For decades, the film was incredibly hard to find. Watching it today is a wild experience. You can see the DNA of what would eventually make anime a global powerhouse. CTA and conclusion stories like the one behind Magic Boy are more than just trivia. They're vital pieces of a much bigger history. The fact that a story this epic, this important, could be so completely lost is a reminder of just how fragile our collective memory can be. If you think stories like this deserve to be remembered, and you enjoyed this look into a lost chapter of animation history, consider subscribing for more explorations into the forgotten media that shaped our world.